Well, I'm painting in gouache, and I'm going to paint the sky like I would with a normal watercolour, where I'm putting plenty of water on. And so I'm going to use gouache just like watercolour, but I'm only going to use the blue. I'm keeping a very simple sort of sky because I'm painting an old boat with a lot of rust on it, whether it be orange, and blue and orange, the complementary colours. So all I want is a nice blue coloured sky. Now this is just like I would normally do with a watercolour. I do a little bit stronger towards the top, up there, that's right, a bit stronger, and a bit by there as well. Now we've got to get this excess water off that has run down, just a tissue, and then get that off straight away. So there we go, just get that off a bit. So while that is drying now, and what I might do, just soak up a little bit on the bottom so we don't get run backs. If we leave it too wet on the bottom, it'll run back up as it dries and create stains. We don't want that. So there we go. So that's gouache, just like a watercolour. Now let me show you how I'm going to do the rest of it more like an oil, where it's more opaque, and I can build on bit by bit. So I'm mixing a bit of raw sienna with white, and let's see what we got here. See that's more opaque. It's more thicker than, and when you use it like this, you haven't got to wait for parts to dry. You can, like with an oil, you can go over it, and that's just a base. I'll be using different colours in here. What I'll do, I think, is get the green. But you can see how that's starting to run there. Now, if I left that, it would create a stain. So what I've got to do, just take that out of the brush and then use it like you would blotting paper, really. And just take the excess water off. That's all you got to do. And then you won't get any stain, you won't get any run backs. And so you can see that's more like watercolour, but I'm using this more like a wooden oil. Go to a smaller brush now. Let's get some grass in. And I should explain that in the post when I was on the Isle of Wight, I showed you a number of paintings I had done in gouache, and I know a number follow the post who are keen to know about art and techniques in painting. So just to explain that I thought it might not be a bad idea to show you a painting that's based on something in the Isle of Wight, but in gouache. And you can see what's happening. I'm using this. It's more opaque. It's like an oil. I'm going to wait for the parts. Normally I have to wait for that to dry. I haven't got it with gouache. I can just keep going and keep going. It's a rusty old boat. And normally with the Isle of Wight, we tend to think of the Needles in that area or Freshwater Bay. But this now is St Helens, which is near Bembridge Harbour. Because on Bembridge Bay, you've got the old Priory Bay, but this is. And one night, Dan, Ruth, my daughter's partner, took us to see St Helens, and I thought I was quite adventurous with the driving when I'm on holiday, finding old places, but Dan is something else. But now what you'll see I'll do now is mix like a darker colour that can go in with here, see, like you would with an oil, and you just put it in places like that. And so I've ended up, I got the darks as well as that lighter colour, because some of it's going to be in shadow. Only little bits, but I'd be painting in oil like this, but you can see how you can go over, you can put more colours on, which I will do. And but I think that's just enough for now for this demo to show you how the next one I'll carry on. And I'm going to concentrate on the actual boat. So let's take that area up there, which is blue. And then at the end here as well. These are parts that haven't quite rusted yet. And what I'll do, I'll mix a lighter blue. Just get that in with that. So I'm using it more like you would an oil, where you can merge it and you can rub it down. Now then, let's get this rust in. Let's have a look here. That's the other side of the boat, a bit jagged. And then where you can see already you got the shape, more outline of the boat in. I can go to a finer brush now, like the rigger, and then what we can do, we can get darker colour in what's in shade. Now we can work on that. That will be up there. There we go. So that's rotting away by there with the rust. And then we can get darker pieces in there. I can see that starting to take a bit of shape there. And while that's like that, let's work on the grass. So we can work on this a bit more. So you're able to work on, see, I'm putting like paint on top of paint. I can put light paint on top of this too as well. But if I just get this darker in first, so we got this bit of variation, and then we'll work the same here. And I can use the rigger on its side, just like I would with watercolour really. Use it on its side. And then I'm leaving a bit of the lightness underneath there. And then I can do something similar here. Get the different grasses up here. Now, what you've got is, in the distance, you've got some headland here with some trees. Now, see, I'm using this like oil. It's opaque. It's not thin like it would be with watercolour. And we'll get this continuing down here. But you can see how this painting is coming together now. But you're not in a rush with watercolour, where you've got to rush before a part will dry. So you can drop something in here just to give it a bit of variation. Can drop a bit in there as well. And once I'm doing that, I'm just showing you a little bit of the technique, really. I'm not going to finish the actual painting. You'll see the finished painting. But you watch the technique now, how I can use light against dark. See, now you can't do this with watercolour. But see, I've got the grass coming up, which makes the boat look as though it's sitting actually in the grass then. And then I can even get some light colours in here if I want to get that variation. Get some lighter colours in there, look. See, this is the beauty with gouache. And I don't know why people don't paint more in gouache. It's a lovely, lovely medium. And in terms of the rest now, let's get this here now. Watch now. So those are like the ribs of the boat that are, should be curved a little bit more, but you'll get the gist what I'm about. But you see, I've been able to put light on top of that. Now I'll get some very darks in to just get this side that's in shadow. And underneath there. And we could get some uprights in here. So we could get an upright here. Bit of nonsense really. But it does give the painting a bit more interest because you've got some verticals as well as the horizontals. Now I think that's about it roughly. I'll be working on the sand and putting pieces in, but you've got a bit of an idea of how to use gouache. Right, this is the actual finished painting, and you can see how with the sky it's worked wet and wet like a watercolour, but then in terms of the distant headland, the boat itself and foreground, again that's more like an oil. It's been worked thick on thick, and means you can take your time, you can put light on dark and build your colours on, and so you can see the approach to gouache and how gouache can be a quite simple way of painting. Should explain it's watercolour paper I've used, offcuts really because I'm working small. This is only for a 6 by 8 inch frame, so it's very small but very easy and a nice way out. I tend to do it when I'm out and when I'm going to worry about drying because of watercolour. This time of year, autumn now, watercolours take longer to dry, so I tend to use a little bit of gouache for quick oil sketches, and then work on oil on top of them then, and yeah, so that's a bit of a lesson in gouache.